bottom sheets. Okay. So that is the program you're going to do. Okay. Couple of programs. Basically advanced layout in UI components. So that is what we're going to see today. So let us create an application. The dialogues are nothing but dialog boxes. Okay. So a new Flutter application, create next. So change the select add button folder here. Select it as dialogs. Select the folder. Dialogs. Create. We create a new Flutter application. Okay. And give a name here. Simply give dialog. Create one app class dialog app extends stateless widget. In the stateless widget, go for override build widget build. In this return material app. Then title. Okay. Simply give one title dialog example. Then the sum equal to team data. And the team data you can set the color, primary swatch, colors dot color as blue. Then go create a dialog of function, dialog which okay, class function. Next we're going to create a class. We're going to have the content. Stateless widget. Here, I'm going to first create multiple dialogs. So we're going to create methods for forming multiple dialogs. Okay. First, we're going to see there are different types. The first one is alert dialogs, alert messages. We want to give alert messages. That is where this alert. Okay. So for that, I'm creating one function. So alert dialog. And here you give any context, you use build context. And I'm going to create a function here using show dialog. Within the show dialog, you will have to think for this context, another one is a build. So in the context, you will give it as context, but in the builder, you have to create a function which is going to perform the action. So we will give a callback function. Give alert dialog create function. This function title some alert finder give some title to the message. Let's say alert dialog it is there. And with that, what is the content you want to print? That you have to give it to this. Let's say this is the this is a simple alert message. Okay. Then what are the actions? In the actions, what are the things you need? Say for example, I need a text file. So in the text file, you have on press, then the function it has to pop up, and what is the name, label of the button. So label of the button, okay, and on press, it should pop up. So you simply write one function, this navigator for text. Okay, the function is class consists of this video. Yeah. Okay. Now, similarly, we are going to create one more, which is simple dialog. There is one more dialog called as simple dialogs, where you can give the content options as a text. This simple dialogs. And for that, I am creating one more function. Show simple dialog. Here also, in context. Here, show dialog. Where you will have the context in the middle. So context वही रहेगा. Builder पे थोड़ा changes करने वाले हैं. Where we are going to create a function for context. And there's a simple dialog. In the simple dialog, same title. Whatever the content you want. For example, content, choose an option. Followed by the list of options you are going to give. For that, simple dialog option करके पूरा okay.
Sir, your screen is not visible.
Sorry, I did not share. Sorry. Okay. I will restart. I will explain to you again. So show dialog. So here we are going to see dialogs. How to create pop-up messages, dialog boxes. Okay. So there are three types of dialog boxes. One is alert dialogs, simple dialog, and we also have custom dialogs. Okay. So there are three types where alert messages are there, or any message you want to create, like for example multiple options. Okay. So for that also you have a dialog box, and you also have a dialog box where you can create your own content. That is called as a custom dialog box. So what I've done is I've created class, okay, and एक पेज बना लिया है. This is the main class, this is main application, dialog app. So in the dialog app, material app करके I'm calling this other class called dialog home page. Now in this dialog home page, I am creating multiple functions for multiple dialog pages. So we'll call this function. Okay, we'll create a button to call this function, which is going to perform creating or opening the each and every dialogs. So for example, first function alert dialogs के लिए function create की है. इस पे है ना, यहाँ पर you can see in the builder it's a alert dialog. So here I am giving the title alert dialog करके, and the content, whatever the content you want to print inside, this is the simple alert message. You can set करो. This will be the title and the message and the action, the button. The action button में okay and what it should be. Just it has to come out of the application. That's all. Okay. Okay. And here also the same concept we are creating, where we are going to give multiple options. Multiple options. Simple dialog. So in the simple dialog box, going to create on first function. It's going to navigator dot pop context comma. Here you can also give an option. Some statement. Say option 1. Child and text can throw the option here. Okay. Similarly, create the same content. We create 3 options. Okay. Now next, I'm going to create the next one, which is a custom dialog. Dialog boxes. Here, going to custom dialog, build context. Again same, show dialog. Context will be same. Only thing is you have to change here. We change builder, create one context. So here, create, we will give context. यहाँ पर आप custom dialog नहीं दे सकते, just like how we have given here simple dialog. Here you have to give just dialog. Okay. Create a custom dialog, just give dialog. Whereas if you want to create a simple dialog, we'll give simple dialog. If you want to create alert dialog, we'll give an alert dialog. यहाँ पर आप सिर्फ dialog दोगे, and then you can create your own content. So let us say shape. Shape, you can set the shape of the dialog box. So let's say I'm going to shape it as a round rectangular border. A round rectangular border. All the border will have round is a rectangle with the round edges. So when you here you will give the radius also. In the radius, border radius will be circular, and give a value say 15 data. Then child, number of container, whatever the content you want. Padding child, padding the sector, let's give a padding that is it's inside all 20. And I can also put the height, 750 is the height. Then can create columns if you want. Okay. Column of elements you want to add. Columns. Then you give main axis align. Center. Followed by filter. Then you can have multiple contents. For example, text with using something called in quotation, just with the text. See, it is just a custom dialog box. You want to also style this, style it, text style with the font size. Font size 18, followed by space size the box, height is visible. When the button, so elevated button either, when the elevated button on press you give say navigator of text style on the statement you want text box. Okay. So we have successfully created 3 types of dialog box. Now we need to execute this dialog box. So for that we need to set the layout. To set the layout, we use override build. Okay. So in the override build, we use return. This is coupled. We must coupled will create an app bar and give a title and dialog boxes. Write it as different types of dialog boxes. So we can center it. Type of center circle. Center title. Then background color change, background color colors dot green. Now let's move on to the body. In the body, we need a column of this thing. So center color thing. And child उसके column create करते हैं. Then main axis align center करते हैं उसको. Then we use children. Inside this children, there will have 3 buttons. First one, elevated button. content going to alert dialog. This is the statement at the label of button. And on press, I need to call that function. So just open and close. Use the arrow function to call underscore to alert me. Okay. So pretty much. So like that, we are going to create the alert pattern. Simple dialogs. Right. Only one thing. This one custom. Let's save this. Now we'll execute it. First one, it is just a simple alert message. This is your simple when dialog box that will have options. Custom, we are just creating a custom. It will open. See here, you have three buttons. If I want, I can add elevation here. So that the space is created. Let me add one size. Line cross. Height. We have a space. Okay. So this button, I'm going to click this button. This is your alert message. Okay. And OK has been options. New options. It has come out and you can give many options for that. Okay. And you can go to using this button. You can go to any page if you want or any content you want to pass. You can do that as well. And apart from that, you have a dialog, custom dialog, just statement. Okay. You can write any statement and then close. So like this, you can create as many dialog box as you want. Okay, a button is going to open these dialog. Now, when it comes to alert dialog boxes, generally, what is the purpose of alert dialog box? To show warnings or get a confirmation from the user. Like, for example, are you sure? Do you want me to start application and all like that? You can ask the confirmation from the user. So, basically, alert message is used for showing warnings and confirmations to the user, getting a confirmation from the user. Now, simple dialogues are used to present multiple choices, like select an option. Okay, so like that can be used. For custom dialogues, fully customizable user interface like login forms, info cards. Okay, so you can create a login form inside this function using dialogue. Using custom, you can create a pop-up message where you can type your details or create a pop-up message for logging in. Okay, so like that you can use this custom uh, dialogues. Okay, or any information about a particular product can be given here. Okay, or something like that can give. So these are the different types of dialog box which can be used for creating different dialogues. Okay, message boxes. So that's it from this thing. So I'll just put it up in the chat box so that you can copy this. Paste. Then that's how you will create your dialog boxes. Now next we are going to see bottom. Bottom sheets are same messages on the bottom. It will be shown in the bottom of the page. Okay, so that's bottom sheet which we are going to see. The first program. Let's create the next. Let me just close this and create one new Flutter project. Let me go name. We give it as bottom bottom. Bottom sheet, bottom underscore sheet. The name. You create a new application. it as bottom sheet. Plus we have extends stainless widget, build, return material app, obviously, in the title, we give a title, say it is a bottom sheet example. Then in the primary source, color we can give in the red color. Then plus 8 and plus quantum 10 stateless digit. So in the stateless digit, that's how we have created. There are two types of sheets. One is a model sheet, another one is a sheet called as persistent bottom sheet. Okay. So both are used to create different types of sheets. Okay. So bottom, what is the difference between model bottom sheet and persistent bottom sheet? In a model bottom sheet, it slides from bottom and is visible by swiping or close button. That means like how we had seen in the previous class something called as drawer. Okay, drawer, DRAWER, where it is going to, it's a panel, right? It's a panel, it's going to come from left to right. Okay, so when you take a cursor and move from left to right, a panel will create. Similarly, bottom sheet is something like it's also a panel. It's like a drawer which is in the, it will slide from bottom to top. Okay, bottom to top. That is model bottom sheet. Now, persistent bottom sheet is basically a fixed at bottom until manually closed. Okay, so that's the two types of sheet which we are going to create. So we'll start with the first one. We'll create a function which is going to perform that void underscore. Why are we using underscore? All the functions here, all the arguments inside the class must be private. Model. Model means MODAL, not MODEL. Okay, model. And the bottom sheet. We're passing some context, so we use build context, paste text, text. So to you have a function called as show model bottom sheet, the function. In this function, just like we have seen in the previous dialog boxes, you also have context and builder. The context is the same. Now in the builder part, we are going to create the function which is going to perform. Here, we open the bracket and give the same context 12 minutes. We're going to create a container inside the sheet container. Function, we give the height. Width, it will take the whole this thing, width of the application page, site width of the so height we are going to give it as some value as 200, followed by color. We give the colors dot white color, followed by child. The child is specified column. कॉलम मतलब चिल्ड्रन आएगा तो मेन एक्सिस पे आएगा सो मेन एक्सिस अलाइनमेंट डॉट सेंटर followed by children so in the children text in a button the text it is just becoming this model bottom field okay in the time along with it will also do some styling text style will give font size as 18 in amount then sized box height 20 then give it a button on breast I just need come out so navigator pop and text right child the label of button simply hit close decapsulate text okay so we have created the function next we're going to go and create for another one void show persistent bottom speed build text context okay so in the context so what you're going to do is you're going to it's a permanent so you're going to use a scaffold concept okay we use scaffold dot of context dot show bottom sheet in the bottom sheet can you see builder that means you're going to create here we are going to create a function we're going to call a function called context in here we're going to create a container dot and you can also set the shade as well contrast okay and also going to give height 1 to 3 size and child text this persistent bottom sheet bottom style text style font size 18 so we have created another function now we need to just call this function where do that first we need to layout we come back here and give cut override build override build this build function return old have an app bar, firstly, and inside this app bar, right button, then body tag, the body tag will give um, okay, the builder is going to perform any function here. So the builder in your context text and in the center again a child give column again main axis alignment main axis alignment dot center followed by children. You have an elevated button. Elevated button. Where you going to call the function. Calling this give the text, the label. So model bottom sheet. Then sized box of height 20 followed by another elevated function. Going to show first is so first is bottom. Okay. So there are two functions which is going one is going to perform the model sheet model bottom sheet. Second one is persistent bottom sheet. And to call these two sheets, I'm using in the two widgets, which is two elevated buttons. Okay. Save it. Change the string to pixel, device to pixel, and execute. wait. It's going to take 2 minutes. Load. So you got the two buttons, elevated buttons. Now in that elevated button, if I'm going to give this model shape, it is going to come from the scissor model with the container. So it is a container, so it will look like a box. Let's set the height here. So this is the box, close it, you go down. Okay. Or you can also do that, but you come from the bottom, close the cylinder. Whereas this persistent bottom sheet just going to straight close it. Okay, it's going to stay there itself. Container. That is your persistent bottom sheet. Alright. So there's the difference. One is a model bottom sheet, other one is a persistent bottom sheet. Here, close will go. This will stay there. That is persistent. I hope you have understood till here. Okay, so we have pretty much completed all the layouts, all the designs. Okay, all the designs. We have also seen how to create text boxes, right? Text boxes, forms, validations. So this we are completing all the layouts of a user interface. Okay. Let me just copy this and put it in the chat box. Okay, so completed till here. Now next what we're going to see is what is the use of set state. Okay. The next topic which you're going to see here is, so we have already seen text forms, text fields and all in previous classes. We're not going to go there. Presentation form, everything we have seen. Yes, seen everything. Next topic you're going to see here. State management. The use of use state. Now, state management is basically a discipline of deciding where the data lives, how it changes, and how those changes propagate to the user interface. So that means state management basically, if you're going to give a data to a very particular variable, okay, and as I go and keep giving data, now it is going to change the changes in the data, and so while changing the data, what is the impact inside the user interface? What the impact of changing the data in the user interface is called as state management. So in Flutter, UI is pure function of the state. Given the same state, the Flutter always renders the same widget tree. So this means controlling state precisely is the single most important architectural decision in any Flutter application. So if you want to pass any data, you want to add any data, you want to update the existing data, then this state that Flutter is going to perform the rendering part of it to show the updated. So to show the updated data, you need to have the state management. So that is where the set state function is going to be useful. Now, if you have already, if most of the people, if you have learned React JS, now you would have used a React hook called as use state. Now, what is this use state? Use state is basically used to render the data of a state, right? A variable will hold a value. Now that value, okay, if you want to change, when do you want to change? When a component gets loaded, when an application gets loaded, or when you open an application, or any particular component inside your application gets loaded or changed or whatever it does, okay, a value will get rendered, okay. So that is your state, use state. Similarly, here also set state is the same one. Okay, in this section, there are two types of state management. One is using set state, other one is called as a provider. Okay, other one is a provider. There are two things. One is set state, another one is provider. There are two types of state management tools. So in the set state only we are going to see how the state triggers or reboots. That is the stateful widget. You know what is the difference between state. So state, we need to understand what is state. State is any data that can change over the time. Okay, any data which is assigned to the variable can change over a time, and whose change should cause the UI to update. So that means same like React.js only, where the state is a data. So whenever you add a data or update a data, that the changes must also be shown in the user interface. Okay, so that is the state. State is any data that can change over time and whose change should cause the UI to update. In Flutter, state can be classified as ephemeral state. This local UI state that one widget owns. A toggle switch, a tab index, or a text field cursor position. Or an app state like shared state that multiple widgets care about. Something like user authentication or shopping cart contents or theme preferences. Alright? So this state is basically a data. Now say for example, if you're going to take for a cart, like e-commerce site. So if you go and select a product, what will happen? It will automatically will be shown in the cart, right? That cart, say there will be only one product. So I want to purchase two products, same product, two products, okay, two numbers of same product. There you will go and give two. So when you add, automatically that will also will be updated in the user interface in the cart box. Okay, so it will show in the total amount. So the data will change, will get updated. The user interface updates the data. Okay, so when you change the data, even the user update will also change. That is called the set state. Okay. Now this is applicable for only one part of the page. Now if you want to have same content being repeated in all the pages, then you will not use a set state. You will use something called as a provider. That's all. Okay. And what is this stateful widget? Stateful widget is a Flutter widget, like how stateless widget is there, that can hold mutable state. The states mean the values, data which can be changed. Now it consists of two separate dot classes. One is the widget itself, immutable, configurational, rebuilt in every render, and its associated state object, which is immutable, long-lived, persistent across the range. The state object is where the field and the set state lives. Okay. And the stateless widget, by contrast, is immutable and cannot change once made. Okay, so stateful widget is nothing but it's a type of a widget in Flutter that can hold values which can be changed. Okay, when you can change the value, that part is where the stateful widget is used. State in the it consists of two separate dot classes. One class called as a state widget itself. Another one is a state object. Okay, associated. Another one, it is associated with the state object, which is mutable. The state object is where the fields and the set state lives in. So in order to define a set state, where we define set state inside the stateful widget only. Now what is this set state is basically a method on the state class that tells Flutter, I have changed some data, please schedule a rebuild of this widget. So that means set state is going to change the value. Using set state only, we are going to change the value. You cannot simply go and assign a new value, it will automatically, no, it will not happen. Inside the set state only, you have to change the value. Alright? So once it is changed, that has to be shown, that has to be replicated in the user interface, or can say simply say it has to be rendered in the user interface. So it tells to the user interface or tells to the Flutter to change whatever to update the data of the variable. Okay, to update the data of the variable. That is what it says. So after the callback, so next what is that? Okay. So it takes a callback in which to mutate your state dates. After the callback returns, the Flutter marks the widget as dirty and includes it in the next frame being passed. But state is asynchronous, it does not immediately rebuild, it schedules a rebuild. Okay? So it is a synchronous function, so it does not do it immediately, it takes a time. Okay? So you have widget lifecycle. Okay? So that is not required now. That is only for updating the widget. Now there is a create state to creates the state. So there is a two instead of so you have set state. Apart from that, you also have others life cycles which are create state. Creates a new state, initiate state called once when inserted into the tree, ideal for initialization. Okay. So for initialization version process, you will use init state, and for creating, you will try to create state. And you also have did update widget called when the parent rebuilds the new configuration, and dispose called when the widget is permanently removed, ideal for cleanup like cancelling timers or closing streams. That can be done by. Alright. So let's start by creating this simple program. We'll see two programs in that. Okay. We'll see two programs in state. The first program is going to be very simple, and we're going to create a counter app. Okay, we're going to create a counter app using set state. So let's do that. So let's go and create program, an application, new Flutter application. We'll write it as counter app. Going to remove this content. Okay. Right. Class my app extends stateless widget and override build return material app Right. Then state. Then O, going to create it as counter class. So let's create a class called counter app extends. Here you are going to use stateful widget. Take stateful widget. Inside the stateful widget, we'll write an override annotation. Override create state. This create state is going to create a new state for it. But to create a new state, here not the state will get here. The name which is found in the app. Create underscore counter app. Then we go and create a class from underscore counter app. State extends state counter app. Okay. Now going to create first the design at override field. So let's get the design and then we'll come on the function. Here return from code. Okay. From code. The return scaffold, we create an app bar. Then we get title. Right, counter app using string. Okay, that's the title. And apart from that, we create a pod. In the center. In the center, right, this child will go from this concept. The child will use column main axis alignment and done. Now here in the children we start text. For this text we have counter, then dollar underscore counter. Now this dollar underscore counter we need to create it here. It should be int underscore counter and initial value is 0. When I give initial value is 0, this will have a count. Okay. Now if you want, I can go and give style with text style. In the text style, you can give some style to it. With a style to it. Font size, you set as 28, 30 then. Okay, come on. Sized box, height as 20. Right? Now we have created the counter. Now I want a row of in this row you have a main axis alignment as main axis alignment as center again, followed by children. In these children we will have 3 elevated buttons. Okay. We'll go and give here all the time the let's open and close curly brackets. Here we'll type it within text. Increment. Okay. Okay. So that's one. Similarly, one is for increment, for decrement, and this is for reset. Right? Between these three, I need a size, giving a size box of width. Give width as 10. One here. So let me run this. Wait for a few minutes, it will start, it will open. So I have created stateful variable दे दिया counter 0. यहाँ पर एक column and row रख के I have created a particular statement here. Text will be have counter करके होगा and the value. This is and उसका जो size है थोड़ा बड़ा कर दिए. And below that we will have a row of buttons. Okay, so each button के बीच में एक space. This is size box. So these functions are doing nothing. Just open and close bracket रखता हूँ. Now we are going to add some functions here. Let it open first. Now you can see, so you have a counter 0 and 3 buttons. So I have not given any function. So we are going to change the value using these 3 buttons. So we are going to create function which is going to perform that. So your UI is created. Now we are going to give the action response. Now to create that response, where are we going to do that? Let me just do this here. Now to do that, you will go into top and inside this class only you have to create. Let's create class void, then use underscore space underscore. We'll give this as increment counter to the name going to be curly bracket. Then we use the set state function to perform set state. Then within that, use that variable counter variable and the increment of. Okay. Increment of. Similarly, I am created for increment and reset. For increment minus minus and reset counter. You will give the counter variable 0. Okay. So let us go and give the function here. I can go and do this, use the operator for increment on all किया जाएगा. And reset them. Save it. Now let's run now. Increment हो रहा है, then increment, and then reset. Okay. Now if you can see here minus में जा रहा है, so you can go and set the function here. We can say if underscore counter is greater than 0, then only it will perform increment of. Okay. Help करते हैं. So we go for this addition. Then 0 हो गया, फिर से करते हैं increment करते हैं. Then it will not go close. Okay. So this is your answer. Minus में नहीं जाएगा. 0 तक. If it is greater than 0 only, they will perform the increment. So I hope you have understood this set state. Set state is to change the value of the, so not only assign a value but also render it in the user interface. Okay. So that is a set state function. I hope you have understood till here. Okay. The use of set state. We use the if condition to perform. Alright. So we'll copy this and you'll see one more program in this. We'll use the toggle. Okay, toggle function. Paste it in the chat box. It's done. Split. Done. So once one is over, now next we are going to see one more program. Go for one Flutter program. Set state. Set toggle key. That's the name that I'm going to give. Toggle key. Set one left. Create one new application. Class my app extends stateful widget directly. Okay. In the stateful widget, override create state. In the create state, I'm going to name this as my app here. Create state. My app state. Okay. Class underscore my app state extends state my app. Here, I'm going to create a Boolean variable first. Let the change the same, but it will be dark mode. 15 false. The state variable. Now, override build widget, and here we are going to create return PLF. On this PLF, equivalent and theme we need to change, so we'll use the toggle button. Is dark mode. If it is dark mode, question mark team data not dark, okay. Or team data dot light. Then scaffold. Okay. In the scaffold, app bar, app bar. You have a title, name it as some text for set state. Of the and body, enter, and child, all. Column, main excellent, constant, profile, legal, children, text. So I need this text such a way that it will check the thing is dark mode. If this condition is true, text is going to be set dark mode on the guy. Light mode on text statement. Right? Followed by style tag, text style, font size, we keep it as 22. Okay, along. Here text again, or switch, switch concept. Switch method, you will have values and function. What is this switch? Switch is basically a widget that lets the user toggle between on and off. Okay, so we will use this switch method toggle between on and off. So switch में value है and on changed capital. Value है, use that value as iterated underscore is top mode, that is the value. On change, what has to happen? So we'll use value. Then we'll give the function. This function is going to set state. So set state when state is dark mode equals null. So it means it's going to update the state. Okay. Save it. And we are basically we are changing the key. Okay, changing the key and a switch. So let's run this. You can see here, this is the switch button. Okay. The switch button, you go and click dark mode over here, light mode over here. Dark mode on, light mode on, mode on, light mode on. Okay. This is the concept. So I hope you have understood till here. We'll do one more. We'll do one last program in this. Okay. That we copy and paste it. One more in this program. So just make that set. Create one more. We'll give white main. Yeah. Then last it is web web extends state messaging. Then you'll have speed. You have to create a to-do list. So in the to-do list, class extends state variable. State and override create state. Create state. Here we'll change this to history and underscore list. Speed state. class, the name called underscore lists three state extends state mistake. Yeah, that's right. Now, list of tasks and control over extend state and list of controller extend. Create that final list create content. String as